big pain in the ass. I wouldn't tell anybody it's a fun time. It's not.
I can't imagine it's a fun time. I mean,
Hopefully,
at the end,
now that it's started, it'll start getting a little better, but we'll see.
Yeah. What's the turnaround on something like that? I mean, you guys still have, another year ahead of you?
I was about to say, at least a year. The turnaround is at least a year.
Well, from now, they said it should be done by July, August. So 7-8 months.
That's not too horrible.
From time of dig. But from the time of start, that's 20 months.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Because you had to buy the land and then sign because we just bought the land cash, but you pick out your plans and then get your financing all done, and then you have to drop 20% on what you finance.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, at the end, you're going to have a house, your own house built for you, which is cool shit.
Yeah.
No, at this point, there's no hopefully. There's no fingers crossed.
It's just how old will he be when the house is done? That's the real question.
True too. You can retire in your house. Congratulations.
Thank you for building this house. My daughters are in high school. Wonderful.
We don't need the steps anymore.
I'll have 3 more kids, and then I won't have enough bedrooms.
Well, you know what you have to do? You have to build a new house.
No! It just keeps repeating.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good. It's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. You have decided for whatever reason to tune into another horrible gaming podcast, but I am not alone, nor am I ever. With me, as always, is my co-host...
Neil, aka a tiny wizard.
But ladies and gentlemen, the Triforce is complete one final time. Well, not one final time forever.
One final time.
Yeah, not one final time forever.
Last
just
time.
We've had a series of Triforce episodes. So you know who it's going to be. The Buildmaster General.
Yo, what's up, old man fam? Phil Billy 330 here, back again into the podcast.
For a second there, it sounded like you forgot 330.
You ever have spit caught in your throat?
Okay.
That's what it was.
That's your body trying to kill you.
Your body's like, no, we've done enough. All right. Well, before we got a fun show. The Foundation is here with me because we are going to be breaking down our most anticipated games of 2022. What we want to see in 22. What games of 2022 we are really excited to see. But before we get into that, we got to get into the credits. A couple of people helped make this episode. As usual, we've got to thank them. Number one, if you're watching this on YouTube, behind the fancy timestamps, you're seeing fancy graphics. Some of those are ripped directly from the internet, like the thief that I am, but any custom-made ones are provided by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And then, of course, the theme song for this show and all of the shows here at Old Man Gaming is provided by my brother, the man who makes the music, Nick Van Sliders. We thank him for that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to our first segment and our most important segment by far. That is Fan Traction. That's where us, the co-hosts, talk to you guys, the fans, directly. We read out your comments in all the places that we get them. We riff on them, and sometimes we choose them as the talk down. We are going to be reading comments for 2 episodes this week because, we've got 2 episodes. Last week, if you haven't listened, we posted the Horrible Game Awards, the 3rd annual. It was a really fun show. Our community basically came together to pick all of the awards and stuff for what we thought the games of the year were. So go check that out if you haven't checked it out already. But before that, let's get into the actual comments. So first, of course, William Houen. William, Lovely to see you. He says, hi, with the exclamation point. Love it. Love it. It's his t-shirt right there. First of all, I wish you the best holiday times possible. Now, Zach, how funny is it that your only positive prediction didn't happen? Gosh, modern gaming sucks. Here's my prediction. Neil is going to lose the piece of paper where he noted the predictions. Great show. Thanks for the year of weekly entertainment. Cheers. Thank you for your comments always, William. Did you lose it already?
No, it's funny he brings that up because I knew that I would lose that piece of paper. I actually took a picture of it and have it saved to my Google Photos cloud. So it ain't going nowhere.
Right.
William, he also covered it in jelly so that way he could have his dog sniff it out.
That jelly. That was a money comment right there. Then Asylum 66. Phil, it will be okay. Gotham Knights will have some bugs, but nothing too bad. The problem will be the game just falling flat and being boring. I'm so scared it will suck. He then goes on to say, Zach, Xbox themselves said they are not done purchasing studios. They may not buy one in 2022, but it will not be for lack of trying. I don't think they said that they were definitely not done purchasing studios. I think they said, hey, if we want to buy something, we'll buy it, and if we don't, we don't. I don't think they ever directly said that they were definitely still going to be buying studios. I don't know, but I could be wrong on that one. And I hope Gotham Knights is good. I really do. It looks like a fun premise. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if his guess was much more optimistic than mine. No, it won't be buggy. It'll just be boring as fuck.
Right. He went a different route. And then finally, Asylum 66, thank you again for the comment on the Horrible Game Awards. He said, Enlisted and Dead by Daylight, those would be my picks. Back 4 Blood died pretty quickly in my group. Halo is fun, but the combo of map plus new movement makes it dull quickly. And then he says, I comment for you, Kev. Asylum, we appreciate that. We really do. And then I actually responded to him and said I had never heard of Enlisted. Dead by Daylight is a good one, but I think that it just suffered from our community not playing it as much. I think Dead by Daylight's a great game. I dabbled in it for like a hot second, but it's just not my style of game, and I think our community just doesn't play it that much to really get it on our lists. Have you guys ever heard of Enlisted?
I haven't. I meant to look it up after I read the comment, and I forgot.
This is the same here.
I have no idea what Enlisted is.
I 100% responded to this comment in a parking lot because I was waiting for Aldi's to open to go grocery shopping.
That is probably the most old man ass thing you have ever stated.
It's true. It's true. And then I was like, later, I've got to go look that up. And I just fucking forgot. So I will look it up. I will look it up, Asylum. I promise. I promise.
I'll always read them at work, and then by the time I finish from that nightmare, I forget.
Yeah. A lot of times, like I'll be listening to our stuff back, and I'll think to myself, I should make a comment about that next time, and then I just never remember to do it. But that ends fan traction. You guys have anything to add?
No, not really.
No.
I want to ask a question. We haven't asked a question in months and months and months, but I want to put this out there. Look, you guys are about to hear the three of us' most anticipated 2022 slated release game. We want to know what you guys' is. Let us know what you're watching, what you're really excited for in 2022, and what you want to play. If you agree with us, that's great. If not, tell us what yours is. We'll talk about it next week. I think that might even spark a nice talk down, honestly.
I legitimately thought you were going to say, tell us to fuck off.
You can tell us to fuck off. That's fine. We're a very loose show with swearing.
I mean, get the heck out of here.
I'll say this. You're going to have a much harder time with YouTube when you're telling us to fuck off than us. Like, we're totally okay with it. YouTube's going to have a serious problem with it and immediately delete your comments. So, all right. So let's go ahead and move on to the first talking point then.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so our talking point today is really fun, everybody. I really wanted to do this. We did our prediction show. Then we did the Horrible Game Awards. Now we're going to do our anticipation show 2022. We have just started it. These are the first days of it. So what better way than to talk about the games that are supposedly coming out this year? Supposedly.
That's the key word in all of this.
Key word that we are most excited for, that we most want to play, that we think are going to be the best games. So I think let's just go to the Power Triforce. Let's go to Phil Billy. What's your first one, man?
All right, I'm gonna do it. I know this is gonna overlap a little bit.
Let's
but
get
I'm
it out of the way.
excited to talk about this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Tiny Tina's Wonderland, the new Borderlands entry, will be probably my most anticipated and most nervous about in 2022 as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was going to ask, have you guys seen both of the class videos that they've put up so far? They put up the one.
Yep.
Yeah. The other one was like 2 weeks ago or something like that.
They're very small, though. They haven't given us a lot.
They are very small, but I have to say I am loving the fact that it looks like they're going to give Melee a pretty good focus in all of this.
I don't think it'll be primary, but
No.
it'll be much more representative than any other Borderlands entry.
It's like feasible to have a Melee build.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah. Just because they don't think it's going to be primary doesn't mean because they often don't realize what they're putting in their games.
Oh yeah, that's why there's so many broken builds because they're not as big of nerds as the people who build
They're like, whoops! Yeah, so while they don't think it's going to be feasible, it doesn't mean that somebody who doesn't really want it to happen doesn't make it feasible.
I'll figure out a way in that, too.
I'm really excited for that game for the customization. I think that they really need to show us a little bit more, and I purposely left this one off my list because I knew probably both of you would be picking it today. So I was like, I'm not going to be a third person to have overlap. Just know that it would have had overlap, but when we decided to do 3, honestly, I was bummed because I could do like 6, I think, games that I'm excited for.
I was thinking at the end if we want to throw in maybe some honorables.
Yeah, just rattle them off real quick.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, but on the task at hand, which is the game we're speaking about right now, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, I really, really am hoping for a wonderful, a wonderful character creation system, some real good customization. I'm excited for the Melee stuff, but I'd also like some sort of really cool procedurally generated endless loop. If the story it's there, I'm not opposed to the story being there at all. I like the Borderlands stories, but I want something like what Torchlight did. And this is going to sound old because I know neither one of you have played Torchlight, but the original Torchlight, you went through these 20 levels of the dungeon, and then once you got through it, it unlocked this thing that just procedurally generated dungeons so you could keep going back in and on and on and on. I'd love something like that with this. I'm hoping to see something like that, even with maybe some roguelite options, kind of an expounded proving grounds. But
yeah, from what it looked like, from what we've seen so far, which like you said has been very little. I'm really hoping it's something that kind of keeps more towards what they did with Borderlands 3. I personally don't want a very heavy live service side to it. I'm totally fine with it being there because I didn't think it was overtly intrusive in Borderlands 3. I just, they needed to refresh it maybe just a smidge more than they actually did with the Halloween decorations all the way up through Christmas and whatnot. But I want this to be good because I've always, playing Borderlands, I have always wanted that sort of man, they had that DLC. That DLC was really cool. They should just turn that into a full-fledged thing. And I never would have thought in a million years that they actually would do it and do it with purpose. I just hope it lives up to what I hope it's going to be.
What do you think, Phil?
Well,
I know we kept cutting you off there.
Sorry.
So I don't know if the roguelite thing is really going to come into play. I don't care one way or the other. I just hope they have the content in it, obviously. I wouldn't mind if it does successfully, if they do DLC in this DLC-like world. But the thing that concerns me the most is I hope they learn from the downfalls of Borderlands 3 and reel it back a little bit and develop it more like Borderlands 2. Like, they got too I hope they've learned that remember how in Borderlands 3 you had your guns, your elements, and then they had those, it's been so long since I've played it, but they added those, they were like perks on equipment too. Yeah. Get rid of that. Because what that did was it made the grind bad, and it was bad because there weren't specific drops. Like, each boss could have, in Borderlands 2, if I wanted to get a Maggie, I knew I had to go farm this boss, and he dropped a Maggie every time I killed him, so I just had to farm him for the right element or whatever, the right parts of the gun. Where in Borderlands 3, they would be like, oh, you want a Maggie? You could kill this boss who has a 1 in 6 chance of dropping a Maggie and all these other guns, and then you're looking in that for the right parts, the right element, and the right, whatever they called those, the perk things that were attached to the gun too. It became such a boring grind, and that killed Borderlands 3 for me. And I know Neil didn't necessarily
go deep like that.
Depth. Yeah. But that's how I play Borderlands, is I get really deep. I go into the builds and stuff, as anyone who's been around for a while might know.
Anybody who's been on this channel, There's a reason we called him the Buildmaster General. I personally think, I think that problem could have also been corrected by just bumping up the drop rates so that you could get more of those unique weapons on each run, so that you could find the one you want a little bit easier. Anthem suffered from that problem, like almost the exact same problem. And I think Borderlands got carried through a little bit on the die-hard loyalness of the fans that are into Borderlands, I think that if they increase that drop rate a little bit more, that might be...
It wasn't even so much the drop rate, it was the fact that they drop rate would be 100% even in Borderlands 3, but it would be 100% on 6 different things. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they need to spread the loot pool out over the game farther, I guess would be what I would say. Isn't because the drop rate, quote unquote, was okay, but it was the loot pool spread was garbage. So one boss was the provider of 6 different weapons.
They should find creative ways to let you get the thing you wanted, Like Destiny was really good at that, where it's like, you want this specific gun? Okay, there's a specific quest that if you do it so many times, you get the gun, exactly how you want it.
I think a part of that stems from the procedural generation system that they used for the guns, because it was a great idea, because you could have endless combinations of weapons, but there was no way to I have this shotgun that does X, Y, and Z just because of how it generated. Well, I want a way to modify that effect into something else that I have.
Right.
It didn't have a way to do that, and I feel like that also kind of detracted a little bit, because like you said, you had a chance of getting, something that you were looking for, but if it wasn't exactly what you were looking for as well. So you were contending with the chance that something was going to drop exactly what it was that you were looking for, as well as whatever other randomly generated stuff, because I got some broken shotguns dropped for me.
Right.
Broken shotguns early on, and then
those become completely useless too with the leveling system, and then what you need that shotgun, but you need it at a level fucking 70 or something, I don't know. Okay.
I just hope they play with that and they fix that, because that's what killed That's why I have thousands and thousands of hours in Borderlands 2 and only lower thousands of hours in Borderlands.
Only lower thousands.
Only half the thousands. I would have to say
played for 2 months in Borderlands 3.
I'd have to, on the subject of this game coming out, though, I would really like to see more of their class system sometime soon, since this game is only like 2 months away.
March. Yeah, it's coming out in March. And
like the stuff they keep showing off is like, she drops a Cheeto on the board and that becomes part of the story. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about the Cheeto. I mean, that's great. I'm sure I'll laugh about it in the morning. I really want to know what the fuck the characters do and how that works. Is there 2 characters because you also play a player? Because it's a tabletop role-playing game? Do I have a character and then another character? Like, how does that shit work? Please tell me. You know,
you're
and they
playing
haven't
a
told us
character that's
anything.
playing a character.
Right, like, is that really how it is? Like, that would be kind of cool.
So. I don't think. I think it's going to be more like the Tiny Tina's was, where you're just in that world.
In the world, right. But still, I want to see more of it. You know what I mean?
And
I would like to know more about the character creation, too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what... They're custom, but how? Like, they
Right.
haven't really showed it.
Yeah, how do those trees get moved around and stuff, you know?
yeah, and you actually touched on the one last thing that I wanted to touch on before we moved on from this one is they've been talking about this multi-class system for this game.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Is
Like,
it-
do you get to mix and match the trees? Do I get to take
Right.
perks from each thing? Because if I could do that, your game's broken already. It's
Right.
not physically possible for you to release it not broken. So, like, I don't know. I really want to see what they're talking about there.
In my head, it could be so amazing for builds, too, because if they truly let you customize, it could possibly make it so that there's no... Like, in Borderlands, there always ends up being a meta. And if they truly let you customize, it could help to break the meta, because instead of having 1 or 2 metas, you could have 10. But I don't know how it's going to be handled.
Well, and even if there is a meta like skill tree, like say they're tossing the skill trees back and forth, like I can have 1 skill tree from this class, 1 skill tree from this class, and 1 skill tree from this class. You could say, oh, that skill tree is meta. Okay, but then I can replace these other 2 with anything and still have a relatively, good character. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. But we got to move on from this has become the Borderlands show. But 2 of you guys had the same thing. I don't think we ever actually said this. This is one of Neil's. But Neil's and Phil had this, so we had plenty of extra time. But Neil, why don't you give us one of your actual ones, or should I? I don't know how.
Yeah,
that's
you
gonna
should
work.
go. You should go, and then
Should I
we'll
work?
circle back.
Okay. All right. Well, look, I'm gonna give the obvious one first. Anybody who knows me knows that I am hyper fucking excited for this game. Sifu. I cannot wait to play Sifu. I'm a huge brawler fighting game guy, and Absolver, I actually did play Absolver, and it was awesome, but there just wasn't enough to it. Like, the fighting style was great, like the fighting part was great, but the actual story was only about 2 hours, and like the multiplayer was alright, but there wasn't enough variation to keep you involved, which kind of like led to this like, this is a great game from an indie studio. Can somebody give them some money? And PlayStation did. PlayStation gave them some money. They are unfortunately a PlayStation exclusive, which means we can only get it in the Epic Store, and that's a whole nother rant that I'd like to go into. But I can't wait for Sifu. It is going to be kind of roguelike, but it's also like advancing and leveling, but you're doing the same thing over again, but there's just these awesome fights. Anybody who has watched the most recent gameplay footage should be drooling if they're fighting game people. So I'm all about Sifu.
Who is it that's doing that again?
I cannot remember the developer's name, but they are the same developer that did Absolver. That's
Okay.
I cannot remember. I will look it up while you guys talk about Sifu for a second.
Yeah, it looked pretty interesting to me, but at the same time, like, it's not necessarily my bag, that sort of game,
Right.
but
That's how I feel, too.
yeah, but at the same time,
I didn't
like,
think you guys were going to really be drooling over it.
No, I mean, but at the same time, like, from what you've told me about it, it sounds like something that could be very interesting. With like didn't you tell me there was something like the passage of time and like if you lose fights
so,
and stuff, like you get scars or something?
It's really cool. So the run, like it is kind of roguelike in the fact that you do runs and you unlock abilities. But what's different about this is you don't lose everything you kind of lose everything in the beginning, but you have these like 5 amulets. So when you go down, right, you start off as like a 20-year-old man. When you go down, the amulet breaks and you can spend all the experience points that you have acquired from fighting for that long to buy like attributes and stuff. Your damage then goes up, but your health goes down, and you get like, I think the way the age works is it like doubles every time. So first it's just 2 years, then it's 4, and then, before you know it, it's like 10 years, and then like after you hit 70, anything past that point, you die for good. So like the idea is you have to make this balance of like being young and a badass, but also the more you age in the moment, you get more experience, which allows you to know more things. To get more attributes, and also allows you to know how to damage somebody more. So it's kind of like that's kind of the whole age system. And like I said, I knew you guys. The developer is Slow Clap, spelled SLOCLAP, all one word. It's a French studio. Like I said, the only other game they've made is Absolver. It was really good, martial arts based, but kind of fantasy thing. But there just wasn't enough on top of it. Like, it was really fun for what it was, but there wasn't enough there. This game looks like there's just tons to it. I can't wait. Cannot wait for this game.
I watched a lot about it. It looks cool. Like Neil said, I don't think it's necessarily my, exact thing, but it has like a cartoony Japanese anime feel to me almost. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, like, I'm a huge fan of, like, games like For Honor, and then, obviously, I did play Absolver. I play the Streets of Rage, which is a brawler. It's more of a traditional brawler, but it's still that kind of, like, I like that brawl fight game. And this one just looks like a lot of fun to me. I just love the way they do the fighting, and you can seamlessly pick up weapons and use them. It's just, the gameplay on this looks like so much fun. So much fun. And that comes out, and they're the only studio that I have seen in the last 10 years, possibly ever, that actually bumped up their game. They didn't delay it. They actually bumped it up by 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which
is impressive.
Yeah, nowadays you don't see this. It was originally February 21st it was coming out. Now it's the 8th.
2 days before release.
Melissa kept saying that. She's like, they're going to delay it. I was like, they can't delay after they bumped it up. Like, well, Jesus Christ, the shit they'll take.
I will say it had better not be an absolute buggy broken mess. Like, unplayable buggy broken mess.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Now, yeah, bugs here and there now. I mean, that's just par for the course anymore.
That's gaming. Yeah, that's gaming in the 21st century. There's nothing.
But if it's but if it's like Cyberpunk levels or Grand Theft Auto collection levels, like, then maybe not so much.
Well, and that would be a killer because they've only released one other game. They did really get a lot of money to make this exclusive to Sony, but overall, they're still an independent studio with only one game under their belt. I can't imagine that they can afford something as buggy and messy as Cyberpunk. So I feel like if they're bumping it up, they have to at least be confident that it's going to have a minimal amount of bugs, Yeah. So, I don't know. But that was my first one. I knew you guys wouldn't have tons to add to it, but that is definitely the game I'm most excited for. I think it's Phil. I think it's back to Phil then, isn't it?
No, Neil.
Okay.
Alrighty. So my next one is going to be Horizon Forbidden West. I am so prepared for this game. It's going to be my first proper PS5 game, even though it's not a PS5 exclusive, because Sony likes to, is still going to be releasing all of these games on both consoles for a while. And so just a brief thing here. All of the stuff that I've chosen for this list, I've also considered the fact that the chance it's actually going to be coming out in 2022. So
I tried to.
I mean, yeah, so like God of War was one that I had in consideration, but I foresee a delay in that one. But I digress. Horizon Forbidden West, I cannot imagine a world where this game is bad. From what we have seen, I do still wish we have seen more than we have already, because the stuff that they've trickled out has been like single encounters. And like we got the most recent bit that we got about it was a video of like just the different types of machines this time around. And from what it looks like, they realized the comparisons that they drew from Breath of the Wild with the first Horizon. So they just kind of leaned more into that. You can glide now from areas, this, that, and the other. This game is a game for me, the Horizon games now, I guess I can say games. It's one of those that I never thought that it would be my type of game, because it feels like it should feel like a Monster Hunter game. Now, Zach, you've played both.
It definitely feels more like a me or Phil game. That's for sure. I get where you're coming from on that.
But with just like Breath of the Wild, when I was knee deep in this game, I was playing constantly. I would walk from one end of the map to the other. I would fight every single thing. I'd pick fights with Thunderjaws intentionally. It got to the point that I was playing on the hardest difficulty even. I felt like I was doing that good with this game. I'm ready for it to be out, and I think a lot of other people are too. There's no way, I feel like there's no way that it gets delayed outside of this year. And there's no way that it's going to be bad. Now, what I am curious about is the meta overall of Guerrilla Games. Because Guerrilla, until they made Horizon, they only made... what was it? I totally spaced on the...
Killzone.
Killzone. They only made Killzone games.
Yeah.
So they branched out and did this. I want this game to come out, but I want them to go do something else for a minute, because I don't want them to get stuck in a rut of doing the same thing over and over again to feel like they need to churn out these Horizon games.
I'm afraid that they don't have a big enough studio to pull that off, though.
But it's been a while since the last Horizon game.
Yeah.
It has been. It has been for sure. 2016, I want to say.
Yeah. I figure that's a 6-year.
Yeah, which it has, and I feel like they focus all their energy into it. But I don't want them to be a one-trick pony.
That's fair.
I want them to be able to go... do other things and maybe take what they learn from these other things and then bring it back to something. But Horizon is one of those rare success stories of a company that only does one thing, branching out and doing something completely brand new and blowing the doors off of, because I feel like Horizon is more popular than any Killzone game ever was.
Oh yeah, I would actually
That's
second
fair
that.
to say.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's on the same level. At least.
Absolutely.
I agree with you that I just want to see this game come out. I think this game has had a lot of hype. It's had a couple of delays now, which hasn't been great for its basically its PR, you know. Especially some of the ways they did it. Not to say that they necessarily were being jerks about it. I'm just saying that, like, some of the ways they delayed, it kind of felt like, oh, we're definitely coming out in 2021, and then, no, we're coming out in 2022, but we never really said we were coming out in 2021, but we definitely alluded to the fact that we were coming out in 2021. So I kind of felt like that made them look bad a little bit. I think this game is good. I will say this. I am no longer a person who is capable of the level of hope that you have when you say that I can't possibly see this game not being good. I can totally not see this game and every game we're ever going to talk about being terrible, just because I'm totally jaded to the gaming company at this point, so I could see this being an absolute nightmare. I very much hope it isn't, and Guerrilla Games did an absolutely splendid job with the first one. My only concern is that we have this weird thing where when a game is like this surprisingly awesome game, we put all this faith on a studio and we don't really look at their track record. The Killzone games were fine. They made money, but they usually made money because they were a launch game. They were kind of rough customers, and while I'm not naysaying this game, the only real super success story these people have is Guerrilla, is the first one. So it's kind of like the Cyberpunk. Like, the only thing that company had done right was Witcher, and the second one was okay at best. I don't care what anybody says. The third one had a lot of bugs to start with, and then Cyberpunk, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's like I hear a lot of people going, I have faith in this company, and I'm like, don't have faith in any of these companies. They don't know what they're doing. But I think overall, I am excited for this. I think it will be very interesting game all the way around.
Yeah. I really, like, that is my game, kind of game. I just wish the only reason I never got into it is it's only single player. Mm-hmm. And I think what it is I just like playing with people, and I have a limited amount of time. So if I'm going to dedicate time, I want to play with my friends. But
and I get that. And I don't necessarily see the downside in putting multiplayer games and stuff like that. Not saying like even make it a games of service. Just allow you to
I'm
go
just
co-op.
Saying, let me play it with my buddy. That's
right. I get that. I totally get that. But yeah, it is a good game. I am very excited to see it. I never actually finished the first one. I'll say that.
Yeah, I would recommend because I had the same conversation with Kayla. I don't know if/when it's coming to PC, but you kind of have to finish the first game for the second game, story stuff wise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of those to where, I mean, it'll
you can't
just
jump on there.
I mean, you can, but there's story wise, it explains some stuff, and the sort of end game bad guy situation. You kind of need to know to get a firm grip as to what's going on.
I get you. I think that, like, I'm probably not going to play this game right away. If for no other reason than this isn't going to come to PC right away, and I don't have a PlayStation.
Probably, yeah.
So I'm waiting a year for that one anyway. So there's other things that are just attracting me more at this time, mainly because I haven't finished the first one. And I haven't, like, I don't know, I know this isn't going to come out for me for another, like, probably another 6 months to a year. So it's just kind of like my attention's gone out of the way. But I think this is an interesting game, and it could be a big win for PlayStation.
Yeah, definitely.
Who's next? Who's next on the old listeroo?
Be back to me.
Yes.
So my new IP that I'm very excited for is Arc Raiders, which
that's definitely a new game. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know what that is, it's a I guess you call it a looter shooter. It's a third-person shooter, and the premise is like alien robot post-apocalyptic. So it's you and your buddies, and you loot up and you go out into the world and you're taking down these robots. But what's cool is, like, they're doing it like kind of like Horizon. Not, the game's not like Horizon, but the robots are big,
right,
like Horizon. So like you have these gigantic like spider bots, and I mean they've only showed so much. It's going to be a free to play game, which is kind of weird because from what I understand, I don't even know if there's really there has to be something that you can pay for in it, but they're not really advertising it as a games of service.
I'm sure it's gonna be a games of service just because it's a multiplayer free to play. I don't know that what it's gonna like
really
look like.
Gotten into what the money side of it is,
right?
But
I'm sure there'll be a season pass and something like that, like a battle pass of some sort.
Yeah, or they'll just do like pay for skins. Like I said, I'm not sure.
Right.
But it looks really cool. The graphics look clean. The gunplay looks clean. It makes me a little nervous. The developer is Embark and the publisher is Nexon. They don't have Nexon has had some stinkers in the past, but I'm hoping for this one. It looks good.
Well, and this is the debut game from Embark, and Embark is all comprised of ex-DICE developers.
Yeah, from
Battlefield.
What was that? Battlefield. Yeah. The good Battlefield games.
Right. They left when it started to go bad, which does give high hopes. Yeah.
The scare is the Nexon being the publisher.
Right.
But hopefully Nexon lets those guys who know what they're doing do what they know.
Yeah, I think it could be interesting. I like that kind of almost old school 80s feel to the trailer that they had as well. That kind of like synth music, but like 80s synth, and then it had that the color scheme was very like 80s sci-fi action. I thought it looked really interesting. It's definitely something to dive into, and it looks like you can actually have not even just like 4 people. Like it's going to be like a big there's like 10 good guys going against this robot from all over the place, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure on the player numbers. I'm not really sure. I don't know if they've even really said.
Well, it says 3-player co-op from what I'm looking at. I'm just wondering if there's not going to be
like NPCs or something.
Yeah, something like that, like a war field. Or maybe like 3 players is the most you can have on a squad, you know? But it'll be like 3 squads going in. Who knows? But I think it should be interesting. I know this is not a you game, Neil, but what do you think?
It sounds like it has something that has potential. I know I've heard the name. I cannot recall off the top seeing anything about it. I probably did, but I know how my brain works, and if I see something that's like one of my basically gaming triggers, I just shut down.
The trailer was at the Game Awards, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Phil? I think it was at the Game Awards.
I didn't watch the Game Awards, so I don't know.
I didn't either, but just because we did the coverage, I watched a lot of trailers, and that was one of the ones I watched. I'm pretty sure it debuted at the Game Awards. This does look really interesting, and I'm kind of excited to jump into that one with you, honestly.
I'm hoping it's because it looks a little Outriders-y, not the superpowers part, but I'm hoping, because Outriders was good, I'm hoping Arc Raiders does it better, I guess.
Yeah. So you guys have 1 left. I still have 2, right?
Yes. By process of elimination, it is your turn.
All right. Well, this next one I literally had to put on my list just because of my predictions. I cannot avoid it. I have to put it on there because I said it was going to come out. It was going to revolutionize the IP, and it was going to be good. So I'm most excited. One of the ones I'm most excited for is Sonic Frontiers. I literally have to because of my prediction. Because if it is a good Sonic game, and it does revolutionize it, and it is the Breath of the Wild of Sonic games, it has to be. It has to be something I'm excited for. Of course, the very cranky old man who has lost faith in gaming in my brain is just sitting there like, you're a fucking moron. And I'm like, yeah, I am, but I made the prediction, so I got to put it on my list.
You know, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've done a lot of thinking about this after the conversation that we had last about this.
Okay.
And I don't I'm going to go back on something that I said a lot in the past.
Okay.
I've always said that Sonic doesn't translate well into 3D.
Okay.
But I have to say, with something like having just an open field and being able to just run in any direction, he probably would translate pretty well. Yeah. So I think that it's not necessarily been Sonic not translating well into 3D. I think it's been Sonic Team just being a bunch of fucking boobs.
Oh my
and
God.
Not knowing what...
I have been saying this to you forever. I am so glad that this is recorded on tape. I have been saying this for you. So that's what you guys want to know. It takes a year of logical argument with Neil to change his mind. If anybody was wondering.
It's just, they've had all these different opportunities, and then the things that do kind of work they just cast aside and never want to, do anything with again. Cough. Sonic Adventure 2, come on. Like
the problem with the Sonic games that have come out in the 3D, with the exception of maybe Adventure, but that's still on the edge because it was Dreamcast and it really couldn't do full open world at that point. But the problem with the Sonic games isn't even the campiness or the weird facial expressions or the weird bugs. It's the fact that they never commit to the open world or the 3D. They never commit. Yeah. They never commit to the 3D Sonic, so it always kind of feels like it's 2D, even when it's 3D. And that's the problem, is you're doing these half-ass hybrid games. Nobody wants that. Either make a 3D open world game or make a 2D one. We're not saying the 2D ones are bad, but I'm saying it can be 3D if it wants to compete with IPs like what it originally competed with, which was Mario. Then it needs to do what every other one of those did and go 3D successfully. And it still really hasn't done that.
Well, to counter that a little bit, I would say with Mario Odyssey did the 3D and 2D thing. It's a big 3D open space, and then you go down in the pipes, and then you have those 2D.
But they're like little sections. I mean, like Forces and Colors, it's like more than 50% of the game is in 2D. And then there's plenty of 3D parts, enough for them to say, oh, it's a 3D game. Like, that's the problem with those things, is they never really commit to it. And then when they do commit to it, they don't even really commit to it. Like, you look at, Secret Rings or Unleashed. They're still very linear and very on a path, so you're not really committing to the 3D space. You're just changing the perspective on Sonic. And the perspective of Sonic only works good in that way if it's 2D.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with them, like, swapping back and forth. My issue is the fact that they've had this much time to try so many times. It's like, checking to see if pasta's done. You throw it against the wall. At this point, they have taken the entire pot and thrown it against the wall, and they can't seem to figure it out. I don't think that it's something that's impossible.
I think it's pasta against the wall.
That's an old adage that if pasta's completely done, you take it out of the water, and when it's like not like damp anymore, you throw it against the wall. If it sticks, it's done. It's really weird. Yeah, it's really weird. I just set a timer for 12 minutes. I mean, I'm not a beast.
Phil's over there like, I don't want to see him cook spaghetti. Shit.
It's just like showing you guys around the kitchen, and this is the pasta wall. Just got different shapes of noodles. I never take them off. But yeah, no, I think it's one of those things to where they've seen so many different IPs do 3D, and at this point, you don't have an excuse other than you don't care that you can't get it right. And at this point, if you can't get literal, here is an actual open field. There are things go in any direction as fast as possible. If you cannot get that right, it needs taken away from Sonic Team.
Yeah.
Sega needs to have their own other development team within Sega Division that is not Sonic Team.
Right. Or bring on somebody. I do want to say, too, a news story just came out that originally they were going to release that game in 2021, and they decided to change it in order to make it perfect. Because I think they realized that they're like, we have to get this right. We're starting to lose people. Phil, anything to add to the Sonic one? I know we've been kind of jaw-jacking.
No. I mean, I haven't played a Sonic game since the old, like, I don't even know which Sonic game I played. I was like 6. So
Sega Genesis?
Yeah, probably. And my buddies had it. I never owned one. So
I will make a recommendation to you. If you liked those old Sonic games enough, I'd get Sonic Mania.
Neil recommends Sonic Mania to everybody.
Dude, everybody. It's good as hell.
It's all right. I don't hate it.
I have played through with every single character. I have a save file with every character and every DLC character, and went back through the Encore mode and have a save on all the characters for Encore.
I still want that. I want Sonic to be a major player. I want him to be front and center. I think his history demands it, and I think the only way to do that is to fully commit to a great big 3D game that actually works. And hopefully they do it with Frontiers. But who's next? It's Neil, right? Neil with his last one?
Yes, sir. Neil with his last one. So this one I kind of feel scuzzy putting on the list, but it still kind of fell with the criteria.
It does.
I think it's going to come out this year, but I don't know. It's just like...
Who knows?
Untitled Breath of the Wild sequel. I hate that we have to.
You had to say that.
Still, that I had to actually say it. And damn it, if I'm not excited for this damned game.
Yeah.
Because this, I had told you a while ago. I had recently gotten back into the Breath of the Wild, and it's still. I'm still finding shit, man.
Yeah.
I'm still finding shit I never came across. I found all the dragons now because they're all flying around and shit. I took out a corrupted dragon, which is something I didn't do in my original playthrough. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, it's. I really want this game, but the fact that it's supposed to come out this year, we've seen all but 2 brief gameplay trailers, and
they were gameplay though. They were gameplay,
but 2 brief gameplay trailers. And an announcement when they originally announced it in 2018, I think it was, or something, 18, 19.
I think it was 19. I think it was 19, like late 19.
Yeah, they're even developing it as it is. And we don't have a name for it, and it's supposed to come out this year. I've no doubt that it's going to be good, and it's going to be more Breath of the Wild. There's some games where you want something new, and I feel like there's other games that you just want more of the same, provided that it is, like a second game in a series, i.e. this one. But like I want this game, and I think it's going to be great because I want more Breath of the Wild. But we can't ignore the fact that it doesn't have a name. It's not real. Like, it's a real game that we know is existing, but we're forced to call it some stupid shit. I only hope that the only reason they haven't given it a name is because it's some sort of shroud of secrecy or something like that. If it's somehow like linked into, I don't know, just some craziness right here, like Majora's Mask. Mm-hmm. Like Link gets thrown down into that world. I forget what the world was in Majora's Mask. But if it takes place in that and it's like a super secret and they don't want anybody to know anything about it because of that reason, fine, okay, kudos to you. But they still haven't like alluded to anything at all what it's supposed to be called. And I'm excited for it, but I feel bad that I'm excited for it because this is everything that we bitch about. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hyped for a game that we've only seen a tiny bit of, and we don't even technically have a title for. And oh, by the way, it's actually coming out this year.
At the same time, the reason I stay unmad is they haven't given us a date and pushed it back, and they haven't showed us any announced trailers, with the exception of the first teaser. That was, by the way, I just looked it up, 2019. Okay. Other than that first teaser, we have only gotten gameplay trailers. So, and I'm kind of with you on this, right? Like, I haven't been excited for a Nintendo game, for a Zelda game in a long time. I played Zelda when I was a kid. It just doesn't do it for me anymore. Ocarina of Time was the last one I played. I told you about the bug that I encountered, so that was that. I'm sorry. Twilight Princess was the last one I played, and I liked it. But, like, those kind of games just usually don't do it for me. Breath of the Wild changed it because that was everything I like about games. Like, when you just give somebody, here's a playground, go play. There's a story there, but it's a playground, go play. And I loved that about Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was really awesome. It blew me away from a standpoint of I thought I was gonna think it was fine when I first got my Switch. But then I played it, and I was like, this is actually amazing. I am a little concerned about 2 because they've kind of put themselves in a weird corner as far as how that game is going to be presented, how it's going to work. So I'm interested because I don't want Majora Mask shit. I'm with you on that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want Majora's Mask shit. I don't want any weird like sequel bullshit that they've done in Zelda before. I just want you to make Breath of the Wild again with more stuff and stop making my weapons break without me being able to fix them. Like, that's it. So like, I don't know what, but at the same time, the way they did that game, everything is kind of resolved at the end. So it's kind of like anything you'd be questing for, there's not really a reason to quest for it, you know?
Well, to clarify, when I was talking about like the Majora's Mask thing, I was talking more so like if they're keeping the title a secret because they're tying it into another. Okay. Yeah, no, and to kind of touch on that, I did see a rumor fly around. I don't know why I couldn't say floating around, floating around the internet that there is going to be a rewind mechanic in the game. So like, they might actually be doing something with time travel. Like one of the Sheikah Slate abilities, I guess, is rumored to be a rewind that can rewind you back within like 15 seconds of something that you just did or something.
Okay.
Which would be interesting.
It would be.
But but at the same time, there's some changes that I would prefer. I would prefer to be able to at least repair my weapons, everything like that. But
I'm just worried it's going to be a very linear experience, like other Zeldas. I feel like now that they've done the open world, they're not going to do that anymore. Because one of the glory of doing the open world in the first place was questing through the land and discovering stuff. Now that we've discovered all the stuff, they should do it almost like Forbidden West, where they're putting Link in another place to discover. But it doesn't look like they're doing that. I'm very scared that this is going to be a gimmicky sequel.
I would be willing to wager that they are not going to make it linear. I don't think
I
they
hope
can
so.
go back to
I
that.
totally hope so.
I
totally
do not
hope so.
think they can go back to that.
I think it would be a mistake if they did. That being said, I
People
wouldn't put anyone. We have been talking for a lot. Phil, do you have anything to add? I'm sorry, man. We got on a tangent again.
Oh no, you're good. I played the first like 30 minutes. It's not my game. I don't like it, so I just.
I get it. I just want to make sure I wasn't like we weren't talking enough to where you can't.
Like I'm cool with open world if they're multiplayer, and if they're not, I don't want anything to do with them. So,
okay.
Because I get bored with that much to do and no one to do it with.
Yes. That was your chief complaint about Skyrim, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, if
like it was kind of like I get why you
would probably like it.
Yeah. Why, Bethesda? There's a mod out there. Just make it official. Okay. So you got anything more to add to that, Neil? We'll go to Phil's last one.
No, that was it.
All right, Phil, bring on your last one, buddy.
All right, my last one. I'm gonna go with there. I have quite a few, but I'm gonna go with Dune Spice Wars. And the reason being,
was not expecting this.
Yeah, I know. I was huge when I was a younger kid into StarCraft. And Dune Spice Wars looks like, number one, I watched, I've seen the old Dune and the new Dune movie. I like them both. I like that world. I like the sci-fi. So I started reading the book, so I've gotten pretty into that lore. And so I like the world, and it kind of looks like it's a 4-player RTS, yeah, that's what it's called, right?
Yeah,
real-time strategy.
Real-time strategy, you got it.
And it looks like, you build up your bases and then go attack kind of thing. And which is how StarCraft, if anyone didn't play that, worked. And I've got hours and hours of enjoyment when I was younger out of that. So I'm pretty interested in it.
I am very interested that you said that. That was not one that I was expecting you to say. I can't do real-time strategies. I'm just going to put that out there. I can't click fast enough. I can't build fast enough. I don't know how to do it, guys. I'm sorry. I just can't. Like, if it's not turn-based, I just can't do it. I used to play StarCraft we called it the computer club, but that was bullshit. We met after school, and it was just a bunch of nerds, and we figured out how to make all the computers in the high school link up to one network, and so we'd have like 9-man LAN StarCraft parties in the school after hours, basically. And
I was
that's
the king of Zerg.
I played Zerg. I couldn't make it work. I played Proteus. I couldn't make it work. I just suck at them. I'm not saying any of them are bad. I'm saying I suck at that game. It would be like I thought I would be doing good, and then all of a sudden I'd hear that announcement like a nuke has been launched, and then or like I thought I'd be doing good, and then just a ton of battle cruisers would come through and just wash me off the thing. So it's fun, but real time I can't do. That being said, I thought the Dune movie was really cool. I'm not as into it as you, but that is a really interesting game. I'd love to watch you play it, but it's just I can't. I've come to understand who I am as a gamer, and real-time strategy isn't it. Neil, anything to add?
I didn't even know they were making a Dune game.
Oh my God, Neil!
Until like 2 minutes ago.
Just stop admitting that you don't know anything. Like that's you don't have to say you don't know anything.
I'll do another one. Even worse, I've never seen either of the movies.
Oh, that's all right.
Man,
that's all
you got to see the new one at least.
The new one's pretty good. Phil's right about that. The new one's really good. I don't know if I'd worry about the old one.
Yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but
it's all over the place, and they try and do like 3 400-page books in like the course of like 2 hours, and it's not great. But I would say the one that just came out is pretty sweet. Well, that's awesome, Phil. That's an awesome one, man. Seriously. So who's up next?
That would be you, sir, with your last one.
Oh, okay. Nightingale. I've been talking about it constantly. I can't wait to play this game. Survival, Victorian age. Looks kind of like it's definitely got multiplayer aspects, building aspects, crafting. It's supposed to release in 2022, and there's supposed to be a beta coming soon. I don't know how sure of any of that I am, but I'm just going off what has been. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. I am just going off what has been said, and they're saying it's this year, so this could be delayed, but I am just thoroughly excited for this game. I think it's a really unique setting. I think it's a really unique gameplay idea, and it's made by ex-BioWare employees, so that's really interesting.
Yeah. I've looked into it. It's one of those things that I'm just not sure of. It could be awesome, or it could be something I'm totally not interested in. I need to see more.
Right. I get that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I remember you and I had a conversation about this, and I was like, wow, that looked really cool. And I believe your response was, it screams live service. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
like,
when you said you were like really excited about it, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can't possibly be excited about this. Go watch that trailer again.
No. After you said that, I was like, oh, wow, I guess it really is look kind of live service-y. I mean,
yeah.
But at the same time, we've had this conversation so many times. If it's done right and in a good way, like I said, I like how Borderlands 3 did it. I mean, like Animal Crossing kind of had a live service-y sort of element to it.
It really did.
And it wasn't too intrusive. I was okay with that. But I mean, there's so many horror stories out there. So
there is, but that's not necessarily on the genre itself. I mean, there's plenty of horror stories of single-player games too. Plenty of them. Especially since almost predominantly gaming was single-player games for 50 years, you know?
Yeah.
So... but yeah, I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to see it. I understand you guys want to wait. I'm really excited about it. So that's it. That's all 3 of them, right?
Yeah. All right. Did we have any honorable mentions?
I definitely have one. Look, why don't we all do like? He's got a few. Well, let's just go through them fast though, because we are at an hour for time already. So everybody say something quick about it, but. Let's not spend too much time on each one of them. Go ahead, Phil, since you got the most.
You want me to just rattle them all off?
Rattle them the fuck off, baby.
All right. So, one of which would be Hogwarts Legacy. If it comes out, looks interesting. It's been in development for so long, I'm a little nervous about it. But Harry Potter, I always thought was a pretty cool world, and it'd be cool to be able to make my own character. and see what that's all about. Another one that makes me so angry, it's so single player, but it looks so good to me, is Weird West, which is a top-down isometric shooter, I guess.
Yes, from ex-Dishonored devs.
Yeah, I'm very upset that that's single player. But, or
at least that it doesn't have a multiplayer component of any sort. Like, even not just, like, two-player co-op. And usually those isometric shooters do have that, you know?
It's got nothing, at least according to now. And then, what was the other one that, I can't even remember. Don't worry about it then.
Neil, do you got any honorable mentions, man?
Yeah, definitely Hogwarts Legacy. That one's gonna be, if it comes out this year. I mean, it was supposed to come out last year, and they had delayed it, and it's been literal radio silence since. Nobody knows what's going on. If you get to pick your house and make your character and kind of have the story build a little bit around that, I think it's got absolute potential. And then God of War Ragnarok. The only reason I left it off my list was the fact that I don't foresee it coming out this year. But it's going to be the end of the Norse saga, and I can't imagine they're not going to set up whatever they're going to next. And that might be the formula that's going to be for the God of War games moving forward. Very excited for that game. Another one that I feel like can't be bad from how good the last one was and how well it sold.
We shall see. Definitely not my kind of game. I'm only going to give one honorable mention. I could probably have more, but I want to shout this out. It's a weird one. That no, I'm not going to remember what it's called. Rumblefest? Wrestlefest? Shit. I got an honorable mention, and I can't even remember.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That game looks so interesting to me. I've played many battle royales, and I've dipped my toe into it, and it just looks intriguing. It looks weird. It's Rumbleverse. It looks interesting and weird. Instead of equipping weapons, you equipped like techniques to use on people in combat, and it's all close combat stuff. You can also climb everything that you see. I think that's really interesting. I think with the exception of Naraka Blade Point, we haven't really seen close combat battle royale. I feel like that could really open things up. Like all battle royales are like basically shooters or some version of shooters. I think that like really having a close combat thing is really interesting. It just looks game to me. Oh, there's one more. I cannot wait for the next Skyrim game that comes out this year. That sells for $50. It's just going to be Skyrim again. They're going to just repackage it and sell it as the Anniversary Plus One edition. But
Anniversary Plus One edition.
I'm looking forward to being stupid enough to purchase it again. So. That was a joke, everybody. It was a joke. No one laughed because it's sad.
I was about to say, you had to explain it, so it definitely was funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely the winner. That's what the multiplayer is going to be. They're going to wait 2 years and then repackage it for $50.
Oh, my other one was the Pokemon Arceus, but unfortunately...
Oh, shit! Yeah! Damn, I forgot about that one.
Unfortunately, it's on that garbage system, so...
Yeah, I think that game's going to be cool, though. I definitely want to give it a shot.
Maybe I'll dust off Jacqueline's Switch for that.
Until you get just so angry you have to touch it, and then you put it back.
Yeah, I get mad at the fact that the B button doesn't do what B button's supposed to do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go into odds and ends.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our final segment of the show. We're going to try and get through this relatively fast. But odds and ends, that's where we collect the news stories that we don't necessarily deserve a talking point, but we want to tell you guys about. We want to riff around. Neil's got 5, I've got 4. Neil, hit us with your first one, buddy.
All right out of the gate, pissing people off. Guess what? CDPR settled.
Yeah.
CDPR settled their class action lawsuit brought forth by their investors.
Did we cover this? I think we did cover
we?
this.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
covered
we
that
did.
on the last
We
show.
did.
Okay, I was about to say, the fact that when I asked you if you didn't, you were like, "What was it?" Well,
I thought you were going to talk about them ceasing development to work on an expansion, which I think is bullshit. But
that was something that happened a little while ago. Well, we'll just bring it up again, open the wound one more time, and make everybody mad about it again. Well, I mean, I just can go into one of my
go into the other
then.
ones, man.
Yeah. So
Saves us time. It's good.
yeah, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl kind of blows, and I don't know if everybody remembers the whole coming about of this game, but they were talking mad shit on Smash.
Mm-hmm.
They said they were going to be the next Smash Brothers, this, that, and the other. Their Twitch viewership has repeatedly dropped to 0.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming and viewership has dropped to 0, and from all that we have seen thus far, they really aren't planning on releasing much more content for the game at all. So that was very short-lived, and it is leading a lot of people to wonder about the
Warner Brothers
WB
one?
Yeah, the Warner Brothers one, because they're now, it's now seen that Smash is the only thing that can be the quote-unquote Smash game out there.
Well, and Brawlhalla's still successful. It's not
Brawlhalla's
like
the only
overtaking
thing.
it, but it gets plenty of viewership, and it has a good esports community. So
Yeah, Brawlhalla, not Valhalla.
Yeah,
Brawlhalla is the one that's
not the heaven for Vikings.
the heaven for Vikings. That's the one that's really given it a run for its money. But
Yeah.
again, just it's here we are, another new idea, or at least somebody trying to release competition for something that exists out there, and it falling flat because the other thing is such a juggernaut
that you can't touch it.
It just takes all the attention from it and draws those comparisons sometimes unfairly.
Well, I want to just quickly point out that this game that has died so fast that they're not going to release DLC for it was nominated for 2 awards at the KFF, and that's Keen's Fuckfest, if anybody's
I
wondering.
appreciate you call it the KFF.
KFF, baby.
All right, so what do you got?
Embracer buys Dark Horse, a video game
yes.
company.
Yes.
Embracer bought a comic company, Dark Horse, which is weird. I don't think that's ever happened that I can remember, but this means some interesting things for video games, as well as other things. But yeah, the Dark Horse company, the Dark Horse comic company, has been bought by Embracer, the video game publisher.
Yeah, I was about to say, if I remember correctly, Dark Horse also did some publishing as well. So, they did, there's the comic book end of things, but I think they also did have a gaming division.
Oh, really? I did not know
Yeah.
that. I did not know that, sir. Anything to add to either of these, Phil?
Nope.
Okay.
All right.
I don't want to leave him out. I just want to get through this fast.
Yeah, well, we'll go back to another settlement. Riot Games has
I saw that.
settled their suit. Their suit that was brought about by female employees who were being objectified and harassed by the developers and higher-ups within the company due to the widespread bro culture within the company. Does this sound familiar?
It does.
They have agreed to pay a paltry $100 million as part of the settlement, as well as publicly acknowledging wrongdoings of the past. So we'll see if that does anything at all. But
I do want to just say on a positive note, I don't know the inner workings of this case, but it's definitely an example to Activision. Like, handle your shit, man. Like, they had a lawsuit, they've settled the lawsuit, they've fixed the problem. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I don't know what their stuff inside has changed, whether they have changed their policies, whether there won't be a lawsuit coming, but obviously they've done enough to make all parties happy to get the situation resolved, at least on that level. You know what I mean? So, like, whereas Activision is doing everything in the world to inhibit and break and just making themselves look like idiots, you know?
Yeah.
So
what
I
do
mean,
you got? Sorry. Did you have
I was
anything
gonna
else
say,
to add to that?
We gotta let Phil talk. We're walking on Phil. It's not fair.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. All right. Next one, New World. I feel like I said this. If I said this before, internet, you can yell at me. Basically, New World has an endgame issue where it's a real grind. Phil is aware of this as well.
About how they had their people play.
Yeah, because I talked to you about it. I think that's why I thought about it. But basically, what happened was they then made their endgame worse. And then everybody basically released a petition to ask the New World devs to play their endgame to show us that it's even possible. They played and they failed. So, and they did it on Twitch. Twitch. I want to say this. While this is funny, and they obviously thought they could do something that they couldn't, at the very least, I do want to give New World credit for, I mean, obviously I had said that the developer, the lead developer came out and admitted mistakes, was very candid in his interview. I liked the honesty. I do like that they listened to them, they went out, they played it, they failed. Maybe this will actually change it, you know what I mean? Like, that there is something to that I enjoy.
See, I look at that complete opposite.
Okay.
I don't give them credit for that at all, because I think it just shows that they made a game that they never even played themselves. Like, I look at that complete opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair, but at least that they are willing to listen to the people enough to go in and do what they ask and then maybe change things based on that, I think is good. I think one of the biggest problems in games with games as service is they don't listen to their fans enough. And I think that at least they listen to the fans enough to try it on Twitch, honestly. And that's a change of pace.
That is true. I'm going to turn my screen back on my phone. All right, there we go.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, probably a good idea. So you guys remember that Everwild game? That upcoming rare game that everybody knows about that don't know what it is?
Yeah.
Well, surprise, Rare doesn't know what it is either.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff Grubb, a well-known game industry journalist, has spoken to people at Rare, and apparently it's not going very well. They lost their creative director and then decided to reboot the entire project. However, they have zero clue or insight as to what exactly the game is even going to be, invoking the same exact situation as BioWare with Anthem. And as it stands currently, the estimated release date for the game is 2024.
I don't think we're ever going to see that game. I think Rare at least has enough wherewithal to be like, this isn't a thing anymore. We need to let it go away.
Yeah, but Ubisoft isn't giving up on Skull and Bones either. So
no, but Ubisoft and Rare are two very different beasts, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, as far as just levity of a situation, I'm not disagreeing with you, man. I mean, Anthem still came out. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that I think Rare will eventually have... And I just want to say again, there should have never been a trailer of this. We should have never even heard about this game. It was way too early. We actually saw the creative director in her weird fucking hippie house for the first trailer. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like... They brought her up, and she just started talking to us with all her rings on her fingers and whatnot, and was like, I have this wonderful artistic game that I want to talk to you about. And then she, like, cut away to the trailer that was, like, weird animals in a field, and then she quit. Like, so we should have never heard from this. We should have never heard from this. We should have never seen a trailer from this. We should have never seen her. We should have never seen anything, but they shouldn't have been getting us excited about this in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that Xbox does wrong, really wrong, is I think Xbox pressures their developers to give trailers well before they're ready to, and I think that is a serious problem that needs to be fixed with Xbox.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so much so that I think Obsidian straight up made fun of them with their trailer.
They
did.
I think
loved every minute of it.
I straight up think that was Xbox was like, we need a trailer for Outer Worlds 2, and they're like, all right, fuckers, here it is, and it was like a real stick it up your ass sort of trailer. The same problem. The State of Decay 2 developers are very big into like community forward stuff. They talk. They do a stream every week, like a live stream with the game every week about any updates they add, and they do AMAs basically every week too. And they've been asked about State of Decay 3, and they're like, look, we're working on State of Decay 3. We were not even ready to show it to you. People wanted us to get a trailer together. We put a trailer together. We didn't even want to tell you guys about it yet because we really wanted you guys to be focused on this game. Like, so they've straight up all but called out Xbox without even doing it. I think that's a big problem within Xbox. They need to cut that shit out.
Yeah. So you have one more, yes?
Two.
Two
They're
more.
quick ones.
Oh.
They're quick ones, though.
Well, go ahead with your next one.
So this guy, I think he's a professor, decided to feed an AI bot all of the images of every Pokemon that's ever been created,
this.
and then basically told the bot to make new Pokemon designs, and they're actually really cool. Go check them out online. They all came out pretty cool. Like, it wasn't weird. Like, a couple of them are weird, but yeah, like there's just this bot that just started generating Pokemons, like original Pokemons from all the information of all the Pokemon. I just thought it was cool. Just wanted to mention it.
I hope Nintendo implements that technology in the future or something.
They're probably already sniffing around. Like, the next Pokemon game is just completely random Pokemon that you can't even keep track of.
There's already over 1,000.
Right.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we're already well beyond that point.
And some of them get a little ridiculous. Like, it's just like a bag that's crinkled up, and it's like, that's bag trash right there. Bag trasher. And he's a bug type, and fuck it. Here's a lamp with some legs.
That already exists. There's also Garbodor, which is literally just a bag of trash with a face.
Exactly. Like, it's like they're not even coming up with just like, whatever, man. Whatever.
Litwick is a candle.
And then they're turning weird shit into dragon types and fucking with everything else, too. Yeah.
And the evolution of a candle is a chandelier with the very creative name of Chandelure.
Excellent.
Drop one
Absolutely
vowel,
excellent.
put a new one in. We're good.
Ugh.
All right, do you have one more? Or?
Yes, I have one last one, and it brings me absolutely no joy. So, at least on Steam, Halo Infinite multiplayer is hemorrhaging players fast.
Phil's on his way to his first production.
My thing is turning true.
I was about to say, I immediately thought of Phil whenever I read this because as it stands, on average, Steam player counts hover roughly around 17,000. That is down from, I believe the previous number was somewhere around like 230,000.
Oh my god!
When it first launched. Now, these stats do not take into account Game Pass for console and PC.
True, but usually
so-
they correlate to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that I feel like a better gauge would be Twitch viewership than player counts, just to gauge overall interest, I think. But it seems that 343 has a lot of issues with what it is that they care about.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody is complaining about the lack of seasonal updates and content updates because they're quote unquote still in beta, even though we've now passed the official launch and we're supposed to be in season 1, which we are, but they drag season 1 out now until May.
Right.
So they've said basically no major content updates until roughly May, which, if you are keeping track, falls outside of the co-op multiplayer and forge modes I believe it was Forge Mode was coming with Season 2, so that could still be on track. But unless they are counting the co-op as a separate thing, all the while they are concentrating all of their efforts on dumping way overpriced cosmetics into the store, like a $20 cat ear helmet.
Oh, that stupid Meowster Chief! I've seen that shit everywhere. It's irritating.
Meowster Chief.
Yeah, and a $20 Mr. Chief meme AI for the game as well.
They're charging $20 just for one skin.
Because of the currency, it's $20.
Wow.
It's rough. It's rough.
I saw the other day something that really bugged me. I almost put it on odds and ends, but it wasn't really a news story. But since you bring up Halo, do you know that completing the main story in Halo right now is still a rare achievement?
No.
It's 24 days after launch, and completing the main story quest line. Completing the main story quest line is still a rare achievement, meaning under 5% have beaten it.
I've heard the campaign isn't easy.
I'm not saying it isn't, but usually the one thing that comes out of rare faster than anything is completing the main story.
Beating the game.
Yeah, that's usually like 40% at this point. Like, for it to be still a rare achievement is kind of fucking crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, I will absolutely agree with that. Now, I am playing the game completely different. I'm basically running in a straight line and constantly looking at the map, and the second I see a new icon pop up, I go to that. So I'm taking my sweet-ass time with it.
That's some nice open world stuff right there.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what it is, too. I did get a rare achievement the other day because I managed to scale up to the highest point in the map. But I do think it's weird because that's one of the first things that I personally would have done myself as well.
Right.
Like, I mean, I feel like that's not just a me thing. That's a other people thing. To find the biggest, tallest mountain in any open world game and go to the top.
Right.
But it had, at least when I did it, it had like a 1.3% on it. So, I mean, maybe people are just doing critical path and going straight through and falling off the end. As for difficulty, I mean, I am playing on normal. Whenever I play Halo games, I always start on normal just so I can get the story, and then from there I'll go for the challenge on heroic. But yeah, I do think it's wild that the finishing the main campaign is still a rare achievement.
A rare achievement. Yeah, it's fucked up. Okay, my last one. This is a nice, easy one. It is a public service announcement for anybody out there. If you are listening to this on audio, you have 2 days. If you are watching this on YouTube, you should do it right now, because until January 6th, the entirety of the Tomb Raider reboot trilogy is free on the Epic Store. I don't love the Epic Store, but if you have a PC and you like those kind of games, those games are great. They're absolutely 9 out of 10s for me. Especially the second one is one of the best games, like linear-based story games that I've ever played. I love that game. But all three of them, Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadows of the Tomb Raider, are all completely and totally free on the Epic Store right now until January 6th. So just public service announcement. If you ever wanted to play that game, now's the time.
Yeah,
right.
I think I've got 2 of them, and they came free with Game Pass, or Games with Gold, that is.
I've actually played through the first one twice. And that's how much I like those games. Like, they were a lot of fun, and like I played through it on the first one on 360. Then it came up in a Games with Gold for Xbox One, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to play that again. I didn't have anything going. I played it again. Rise of the Tomb Raider I got on Xbox One. It was great. Shadows is rough. They tried to do too much with it. They tried to make it a semi-open world game, and it just, I don't know. Very rarely will you hear these words come out of my mouth, but they should have just left it linear and puzzle-based storyline. Like, that's how it's like a Nathan Drake thing. Like, just make it a story. That's what you're doing with it. Like, you try and shovel those open world things in, it gets kind of lost in translation, I think. But still, it wasn't terrible. It was fine. But all 3 of them are decent and definitely worth more than free. So if you want to play them, go check them out. But that's it. That's it for this. Everybody ready to go plugs and then go to sleep?
Sleep.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, everybody, that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. We got to go to the celebrity guest, the third part of our Triforce, Mr. Philbilly330. What you got to plug, buddy?
Well, we just ran our first 330 stream, so if you guys weren't able to hop in and join us on that, you can always go check that out on YouTube, or I think Zach put some of the clips up on Twitch, so you can check that out. We did it with Generation, or what's that game called?
Generation Zero. You were doing it.
Yeah. And it was fun. I think the stream went well, so yeah, check that out. And then upcoming Warzone streams. If not this weekend, it'll be next. So yeah, look forward to that.
I will say, just really quick addendum to the 330 stream. Philbilly's side of the 330 stream will exist in perpetuity on YouTube. Twitch only puts up their streams for 30 days. I clipped some of the highlights from my side on it, so if you want to watch my side at all, you'll have to do it within the next 28 days or whatever. Just so everybody knows. Then Neil, you got anything to plug, buddy?
The same thing I always plug, Halo Infinite Road. And I have to say, I didn't comment it on the videos. It almost sounds like you're actually enjoying this game.
It's, yeah, I guess. I mean,
more so than I thought you were going to.
There are some things I really like about it. I'm not going to be dishonest. I promised I wasn't going to be dishonest. I'm not just going to hate it because you didn't give Noir a chance.
I did. It was
You did
dumb.
not. You didn't listen to any of the story whatsoever. We just made fun of it the whole fucking time, which is great for entertainment value. But you don't. I urge you to tell me one of the characters' names right now.
Buck.
That's a cheater, because that was
Romeo.
in 5. He's in 5.
Romeo?
What?
Romeo?
All right. You got Romeo. You still didn't give it a chance. I'm not taking that back. But no, I don't hate it. I hate some things about it. I really hate some things about it. And there's some real things in that game that are like real fuck yous to me. I almost feel like it was personal at me. Oh, you want running, huh? Well, it's a fucking ability that you're never going to want to keep because all the other abilities are better, but you can run in this. That shit just pissed me off so much. So much.
I know. I feel that. I get it. I think once we get into 4, I feel like you're gonna have a much better time with 4. I think
our
4
last
might be the
season.
best.
That's when I'm gonna start enjoying it.
I truly and honestly think so, because when I went through the entire collection with Kayla, 4 was her favorite.
I mean, like I said, I have fun playing these with you just because we're having fun and I'm just being crazy the whole time anyway. So that for me is fun. Would I have as much fun playing this game by myself in my basement
Probably
alone?
Not, no.
Most likely not. I would probably immediately do one level and be like, I'm done with this. I will move on to something else. So I don't know. Well, it's kind of tricky. I am saying that there are some really cool things about it. I do like the assassinations, and I really fucking like the surprise dogfight mission. And good on you for not ever saying that there was a dogfight mission in it, because that would have really got me excited. And you never did, so it was a full surprise for me that there was a pretty cool dogfight mission in there. And I was like, sweet, dogfighting! And not the stupid Banshee dogfighting, everybody. That shit isn't dogfighting. That's like watching a sloppy plate of potatoes fly around in the sky. Fucking no way. But go ahead, I'm sorry. This was all part of your plug. I was
just going to say, wait do you see the surprises in store for 4.
All right. Is that the only thing you want to plug?
It's the only thing I ever plug.
All right. Well, for me, I'm gonna keep it simple. I did switch over my lunch stream to Skyrim. I actually have the Anniversary Collection. You can all begin making fun of me. It's fine. I welcome it. You have a right to. It's dumb that I have it. But I do have it, so I'm going to stream it on Wednesdays at 11:05. I'm really excited about that. Still doing the amateur hour Streets of Rage Tuesday nights. Obviously, once a month we're going to be doing the 330 with Phil Billy. That was a super fun experience. I think that's the perfect use of me and Phil Billy's time. Other than that, there's not a whole lot else to plug. Go back and watch the Horrible Game Awards. We worked really hard on that. And that's it. Check out that one video, weird random 10-second video I posted of my best Red Dead kill online ever.
Yeah, that was
a
cool.
fun. Thank you. I was very excited about that. I actually did slow motion on it for it. And let me see. Oh, the final video from my brother for probably a while will be coming out sometime in the next week or two. Just so you guys know. The song's called The Outlaw. Finally got good enough footage to put with it. Very excited to do that video. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Other than that, guys, you can check us out on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. Link is in the description below. You can influence this and all of our shows from there. You can also check us out on Twitch, as previously mentioned, twitch.tv/OldManGamingDH. And as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we will keep making them. We'll see you guys next week.
Later.
We done!
You recorded that, right?
Why would you say these things?
You know, it's
yes,
funny
I recorded it.
I'm about to say, it's funny you say that because inevitably, whenever we get done, and I'm like, man, that really felt good. That's usually the ones where an hour later I get the fuck message.
The fuck message.
I just noticed he never said, okay, we're recording. So.
Yeah.
I actually did, but I don't think I had my audio. My audio was fucking up at the time, so I don't think you guys heard me, and that's when I realized that the audio was fucking up. But yes, guys, we were recording. I have a lot to keep track of over here. I have like a piece of paper and one thing to click on and off. Sometimes that gets to be too much for me.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, I'm being very sarcastic. I'm sorry. It's usually my stupidity.